Hello and welcome to my Q&A video for reaching 3,000 subscribers. Before I start answering questions, I want to say very quickly thank you to every single one of you for subscribing to the channel, for showing your support. It really does mean the world to me that you guys enjoy the content that I put out, and as I said in the initial video where I announced that this video was going to be a thing, so long as you guys keep enjoying the content that I make, I will continue to make these videos for infinity and beyond. I really am just eternally grateful that you guys enjoy my Let's Plays, my walkthroughs, whatever videos of mine you enjoy. I'm thankful for it, and I'm happy to be making a video celebrating reaching 3,000 subscribers. So, last week I made a video announcing that I was going to be doing this where I would encourage you guys to ask questions in the comment section and that I would answer them all. So I gave it a week. I compiled all the questions. I have them all open. Wait, no I don't. That's a lie. Hold on, let me pull them up. Okay, now I have all the questions pulled up on a monitor to my left. So I'm going to read every single one of these comments. I have no idea how long this is going to be, but as my way of saying thank you to all of you for showing your support for the channel, I'm going to respond to every single one of these questions, no matter how long it takes me. So let's not waste any more time, and let's just get started with question number 1. This is a nice and easy one. How old are you? I'm a day older than I was yesterday. What was the first video game you remember playing? The first video game that I remember playing was Sonic the Hedgehog, easily. I think I mentioned this in my Let's Play for Sonic the Hedgehog when I did that a couple months ago. I said it was probably one of the first games I ever played. I think now that I'm actually conscious of thinking about it, I think it was the first game that I ever played. I wasn't good at it. I couldn't even beat Marble Zone, but I just loved the sense of speed you got from platforming around and the momentum of it all. Again, I couldn't beat Marble Zone. I could barely squeak by Green Hill Zone. That sense of speed you got when you were speeding through the zone was just so awesome. So that was probably the first game I ever played. Like I said, it's a hazy memory because I was super, super young when I played it. But that's the first game that I can actively remember sitting in front of the TV, because I would have played it on the Xbox, the original Xbox, on the Sonic Sega Mega Collection or whatever. That's the earliest memory I have of playing a video. I mean, technically you could say like the Playhouse Disney website minigames, like because if you went to the Playhouse Disney website, I don't think it exists anymore because it's Disney Junior now. There was stuff like Mickey Mouse's Treasure Hunt or whatever. So that might be like early games, or maybe, actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, so, like, if we talk about, like, super, super early, it would probably be something like Blue Takes You to School, or, like, one of the Dora PC games, one of those things, because you could buy the games based off the TV shows when I was super, super young. I think I still have those discs in my closet for, like, nostalgia or memory or whatever, but yeah, those are probably the earliest games I played. But as far as non-educational games, it would be Sonic the Hedgehog. Next up, I figured I was going to get this question at some point. Why is the channel called Gaming Magic 13? I'm gonna be as blunt as possible about this. It's not a super interesting story. I'm gonna give you the thought process. I was really young when I originally made this channel, so I'll give you the thought process behind this. All right, I want to make gaming videos, and I kind of like doing magic tricks. Maybe I can make some magic videos at some point. And I want to try to keep my content rated PG-13. So if we combine these three things together, what do we get? Gaming Magic 13. Yep, it's that dumb. I promise you. The origin story behind my channel name is actually as stupid as it sounds. It's not a very interesting origin story, but that's the truth. That's how I named myself Gaming Magic 13, and you know what? I'm pretty happy with it. It kind of rolls off the tongue fairly nicely. Moving on to, can you do Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens walkthrough? No, I will not make a walkthrough for that game because I love the Lego games. Original Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Batman, all great games, love them to death, big part of my childhood. But that game is trash. It's really, really not good. I don't know anybody on the planet who bought a Lego game because they wanted to play a third-person cover shooter, but that's what they turned Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens into. I have no idea. It had a cool concept with the idea of being able to build multiple things with the same amount of material. So, for instance, you could build a Lego turret once, and then you can deconstruct that turret and then rebuild it into something else, like a barricade. That was a cool concept, but so much of it was just a cover shooter, and it's like, look, if I wanted to play Ratchet and Clank, I'd just go play Ratchet and Clank. I don't need to play a Lego game to do that, but whatever. I have a full walkthrough of the Lego Star Wars Complete Saga, and I'm pretty proud of that walkthrough, but I'm not going to be doing one for Lego Star Wars Force Awakens. Also because Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is coming out later this year, and it's like, why would I make a walkthrough for just for a game based on one movie when I could make a game that covers all 9 main Star Wars movies? Or, sorry, make a video covering a game that covers all 9 main Star Wars movies. I will be doing a full-blind Let's Play for Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga when that eventually comes out later this year. Are you ever thinking of maybe playing any games games from the Kingdom Hearts series. They're fairly long, but I think you would like it. So here's the thing with Kingdom Hearts. I actually do have some videos on Kingdom Hearts 3. I never really cared about the franchise before that point, and even still to this day, I'm not super invested in it. I don't really care, even still to this day, I don't really care about the main story of Kingdom Hearts, like Sora, and that's the only character I can remember. I don't remember any of the other characters' names from the main Kingdom Hearts storyline. I bought the game because I wanted to, basically I just wanted an action RPG where you run around a bunch of Disney-themed worlds and you interact with a bunch of Disney-themed characters. That's literally the only reason I bought that game. But I do have videos on my channel from way back then when I first bought the game, playing through it. They're there if you want to watch them. I never finished the game just because once I got through all the Disney worlds, I just stopped caring. It's like, alright, I've had my fun. I've run around all the Disney worlds, completed all the quests, talked to all the characters, had my fun. Now all that's left is non-Disney worlds, so I officially stopped caring. And that's the story of Kingdom Hearts 3. I have been playing through the first Kingdom Hearts game recently because I bought the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD, 2.5 HD remix thing. I've been playing through Kingdom Hearts 1, and I do plan to play the rest of the games that are in that collection, but like I said, my enjoyment of Kingdom Hearts is entirely superficial. I just enjoy the action RPG elements in running around all the Disney worlds. That's it. That's literally it. And the thing is, that's even proven to be kind of tough in the first game because Kingdom Hearts 1 is a slog. There's a lot of stuff that happens before you get to any of the Disney worlds, which I'm fine with that, you know, it's the intro, whatever. But even after that point, there's a lot of unnecessary backtracking. Wonderland was just a series of escalating tedium where you go through all the different rooms, you platform around with poor platforming controls, and then you solve... I say solve puzzles, basically you just have to go through a bunch of upside down rooms until you find the one you have to get to. You fight a boss and then you win. Olympus Coliseum is just an endless gauntlet of enemies. The Tarzan world was really dumb. You had to, you got to base camp, you fought some enemies, you climbed the trees, you fought a boss, and then you were done. Kingdom Hearts 3 is just so much better than the first Kingdom Hearts game. I mean, I'm gonna finish it, it's a slog to get through, so... the short answer to your question is probably not. I probably will not be making Let's Plays for any more Kingdom Hearts games in the future, but my videos on Kingdom Hearts 3 are there if you want to watch them. Alright, this person asked a lot of questions. What inspired you to become a YouTuber? So, the story behind why I started making YouTube videos is kind of twofold, so I'll tell it in two parts. Part one actually dates back many, many years when I was super young. I wasn't even playing games yet. I was just watching my dad play games. Oh, I might have been playing Sonic, but I wasn't playing anything more complicated than Sonic at the time. But my dad was playing Dragon's Lair 3D Return to the Lair on the original Xbox, and I was just sitting there watching him play because I liked watching him play games. And he was at the Deathly Discs room, and he just, like, I was staring at it, and he wasn't making any progress because he wasn't getting past the room. Basically, I'll explain what the room is. The Deathly Discs room is basically, you start on one end of the room and you have to get to the other end of the room, but the problem is that in between point A and point B is a series of platforms that fall seemingly at random. Like, it seems initially that there's no patterns to which platforms are going to stay and which ones are going to fall. So, you can't just brute force your way through it because by the time the platforms are about to fall, you have no time to react and you just die immediately. And he kept trying to brute force his way through it over and over again. And I think he said something like, there doesn't seem to be a pattern to this, or I can't figure this out, or whatever he said. He might not have said anything to me. I might have just been like, why is nothing happening? Like, why are we not going on to the next room? So I just looked at it. I looked at the screen for a couple seconds, and I noticed that there are these torches on the wall. And the torches seemed to line up, like, I noticed, I may not have even told him that this was how you were supposed to solve the room. I might have just said something as simple as, hey, look, the color of the torches matches the color of the platforms that isn't gonna fall, or something like that. Just translate that to young me verbiage, like, ooh, torch color match floor color, yay, I don't know, whatever. I said something like that, because then after I did that, he figured it out, and then he got through it first try. So that was when I kind of realized that, I can help people beat games. It's kind of interesting. And then when I grew up, I had a friend. For her birthday, I bought her Super Mario Galaxy. This was a while after it came out, so it was like 20 bucks. But I bought it for her, and she loved it, because she told me that she wanted it, so I'm like, let's remember that for the birthday. And I bought it, and then she played it, and then that same night, I got a call saying, I'm kind of stuck on this game. You played it before, right? Can you tell me how to beat it? So I couldn't see your screen, because it was just, like, this wasn't a a video call or anything. It was just a regular phone call. So she called me, and I had her describe to me what part of the game she was at, and then based on that, I figured out where she was and what she was doing wrong and how she could beat the section. So then that happened a couple more times before she figured out how to play the game, and then it was easy from there on out. But that was another part where it was like, I can actually help people beat games pretty well, I guess. So that was the motivation for wanting to make walkthroughs, or not more, that was the motivation for me, like, helping people beat games. But then the part that helped me get to YouTube was that when I was in middle school, I watched Thomas J. Ashwell a lot. Like, he was probably the YouTuber I watched the most in middle school, and I still watch his content a lot today, but, like, I watched him a lot in middle school, because every morning when I woke up before middle school, I have some time, like, between waking up and actually getting in the car to get dropped off at middle school, I had time to watch some YouTube videos, and I would always watch his videos in the morning. I was just mesmerized by it. Like, he was really entertaining, and then I'd never seen some of this before. Like, I'd never seen somebody playing games on YouTube for people to watch. That's a thing people do? What? So then I saw that, and I connected the piece of the puzzle in my head, and I was like, huh. So people can upload footage of themselves playing games, and I like helping people beat games. What if I combine these two together into my own YouTube channel? And that's what happened. I made my first walkthrough in June of 2014. The technical quality was horrendous. I got a standard definition camera, and I just pointed it at the TV screen, and I called it a day. So, you know what? I'm just gonna let you listen.
Hey guys, GameMagic13 here, and welcome to my first actual Let's Play.
Yeah, it was, So, Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings. This was my first walkthrough, because this was a game I played through with my dad, and we were helping each other get through. Like, when I got stuck at a section in the game, I would pass the controls to him, and when he got stuck, he passed the controls to me, and we'd work together to get through the game. So, you know, I figured, this would make for a good walkthrough. And so I did that, and look, I'm not gonna try to say that the squeaky voice isn't annoying, because, yeah, I'm pretty sure we all know that it is. But I am still proud of this walkthrough. It was my first ever walkthrough, it has a special place in my heart, and I'd still say I offered some pretty good advice. You know, I provided some details on how to get through the whole game, how to beat 100%, where all the collectibles were. I'm pretty proud of this walkthrough. I would still defend this as a decent walkthrough. As far as the content's concerned, obviously the fuzzy screen and the horrendous audio quality isn't that great, but this walkthrough has a special place in my heart for me. And then after this, I started doing some blind Let's Plays, because I knew that was another thing that some people like to do. So I played through Plankton's Robotic Revenge, which isn't a great game. It's kind of meh, but, you know. I enjoyed playing it for the time, for the blind Let's Play, and then I did a co-op Minecraft Let's Play with my friend Neil. One thing led to another, and now here we are today. So that's the very long-winded explanation of how I became a YouTuber. Next question. Who are some of your favorite YouTubers? There's so many. I would be here all day if I listed them all. The thing is, a lot of the YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to are, like, news sources, I guess. You know, stuff like the Ace Attorney channel, Alchemy Labs, the Halo channel, all those, the YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to specifically to see, like, if there's a trailer that gets announced or something. Like, I know that the chances of the Ace Attorney YouTube channel being active at any point in the next 10 years is slim to none, but I'm subscribed. I'm still crossing my fingers, hoping. Yeah, basically, that's a large portion of the channels I'm subscribed to. In terms of strictly Let's Plays, you know, nothing too obscure. Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, GT Live. Thomas J. Ashwell, highly recommend him. He's an underrated YouTuber that you should definitely go watch. Those are just the channels that I'm subscribed to. Like, I've been subscribed to them the longest, and I watched them all as I grew up. Over the years. But one channel that does not get nearly enough respect is HokeyBird428. If you don't know who he is a Halo YouTuber. He doesn't make content all that regularly anymore, but he's most well known for his legendary walkthroughs for Halo. And how that applies to me is because, well, I guess I should probably explain. If you don't know what Project Living Legends is, Project Living Legends is a project that I did back in 2016, where I wanted to try to beat all the Halo campaigns in Legendary by myself. Now, obviously, today, that's not even a problem, because whenever I replay through the Halo saga, I always play in Legendary, because at this point, anything below that is just too easy for me to play. Like, I've been playing it so long that I'm so used to Legendary that anything below it is just, like, whatever. But at the time, I was terrible at Halo, and I could barely scrape through the first couple missions of Halo Reach on Legendary. I was terrible at the game. I was just mindlessly running around. I clearly needed help to try to get through it. And eventually I invited Wookiee Warrior 04 and the Darkest Soul 7 to help me play through the campaigns, and we had a lot of fun together, and I really love that series. But even that wasn't quite enough. Like, we still had some trouble, specifically with Halo 2 and Legendary, because Halo 2 and Legendary was broken beyond belief. So I searched up online for Halo 2 Legendary walkthroughs, and the first thing to pop up was his channel, and... So before I found his channel, the reason I loved Halo was because of the story. Like, the story of the Halo games was what drew me in the most. I still enjoy the gameplay. Like, I really did enjoy the gameplay, and I made a lot of great memories playing multiplayer with friends, but I was terrified of Legendary, and after I found his channel, like, his videos showed me the level of strategy that was present in the campaigns. The videos taught me how to play tactically, I learned how advanced the AI really was, and his videos are the reason why I know how to play Halo on Legendary as well as I do. I can't go back to playing anything below Legendary because of how used I am to it. His walkthroughs, they helped me learn. They presented the easy strategies for a noob to play, and then I use those to help develop my own strategies for when I replay them. And even then, I mix it up on the fly because so much of Halo's gameplay is situational, so like you can have a strategy going into it, but you need to be able to adjust the strategy on the fly based on the situation and how the enemies react to what you do. But that's the reason why I love Halo's campaign so much, is just the strategic element of it, the tactical gameplay, the open-endedness of the level design and the combat, and the fierce intelligence of the enemies. I don't agree with what he says about Halo 4 and 5. I still think those are pretty great campaigns. I mean, Halo 5's story is trash, but as far as level design and gameplay, Halo 5 is still great. But, I mean, I have so much respect for him. He's the sole reason I love Halo as much as I do. Because without him, I never would have seen the tactical nature and the strategic elements present in Halo's campaigns. I seriously go check out his channel. Even if you don't need the Legendary walkthroughs, his streams where he just plays Halo for fun are really, really good as well. Now for an easy one, what editing software do you use? So first I'm going to draw attention to a reply to this comment, which said, correct me if I'm wrong, I think his editing software is in the About section of his channel. It is. In the About section of my channel, if you're curious, basically, the About section has a lot of, I mean, it's a rundown of what I do on the channel, but it also has a lot of technical specs, like the headset I use, my PC specs. I don't think it has all the specs, it just says what computer I have. Capture card, recording software, editing software, things like that. So if you're curious about that stuff, you can go check it out. But yes, my editing software is listed there, but I'll say it again here anyway. I use Sony Vegas Pro 13. I know that Adobe Premiere is technically the better software, like it's more professionally used, or it's used in more professional circumstances. But I've been using Vegas for 10 years. It's got to be at least 10 years at this point. So I know it very well. I know the software like the back of my hand, and I don't really, like, I know that I could probably make better videos with Premiere, but I'm so used to using Sony Vegas that at this point I don't want to have to relearn, and I don't want to switch to a new software and have to relearn everything that I know, because I'm pretty familiar with Vegas, like I'm pretty competent in using it, so it would take me a very long time to catch up with where my skill level is in terms of Vegas. So yeah, I use Sony Vegas Pro 13. What's your favorite game of all time? Don't even have to think about it. Dragon's Air 3D Return to the Lair. I mean, so here's the thing. My top 10 games in descending order are Portal 2, hilarious dialogue, excellent story, genius puzzle design. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, puzzles that are somehow complex enough to be interesting to adults and yet simple enough for kids to be able to figure out. Like, striking that balance is so unbelievably difficult, and yet this game executes it flawlessly. Undertale, one of the best video game stories I've ever played, with really strong RPG elements too. The Walking Dead Definitive Series, these games mean the world to me. I talked about this in the 100,000 Gamer Score summary, but the degree to which I emotionally resonated with those games is unparalleled, and I love those characters and those stories so much. Super Mario Galaxy 2, incredible 3D platformer, and also has one of my, that's also the game responsible for one of my, no, I'd say my first big triumph in terms of, like, video game accomplishments, which I'll talk about that later in the video. Cuphead speaks for itself. Beautiful art style, addicting gameplay. Phoenix for Ace Attorney Trilogy. Don't need to explain this one. You know how I feel about the characters and story. Halo the Master Chief Collection. Again, you know how much I love the tactics of the campaign and multiplayer, the story, all of it. Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, best 3D platform I've ever played. Really, really happy that the game got remade because it takes everything that was good about the original and just fixes the things that weren't good about the original into an incredible game. But the thing is, you probably know about all those games. I'm willing to bet you, even if you've never played them, you probably at least previously heard of every game I just mentioned. They're all extremely popular and beloved. but almost nobody knows about Dragon's Lair 3D Return to the Lair. The original, you might have heard of the original. The original arcade game is super well known. It's been ported to death. It's on every game console ever. It's on mobile. It might not be on the DS, but I don't know. That game was revolutionary in the arcades. It's like, it took the arcade industry by storm. To my knowledge, I'm pretty sure what happened is, like, the arcade industry was kind of not doing so hot, and then Dragon's Lair came along and completely changed that. It took the industry by storm. Like, so I'd be willing to bet that if you ask the average person, do you know Dragon's Lair, they'd probably say yes. But I'm guessing that they would not say the same thing about Dragon's Lair 3D. It is shocking how few people know about it, because it's about as close to a perfect game as you can get. I'm really thinking about making a video about it, because it's like, here's my belief. My belief is that if more people knew about the game, it would have the same reputation as something like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which I think is one of, if not the highest rated game on Metacritic. Pretty much every review I've seen of it, or read of it, is positive. It may not be like 10 out of 10, but it's still really positive review. It's just that there's so few reviews, this game gets so little attention that I really just think if more people knew it existed, it would be universally loved. So I'm thinking about making a video, like, talking about why this game is so incredible. I don't know, I don't usually make those kinds of video essays. In fact, I've never made one before. But if there was gonna be a game that would convince me to make one, it would be this game, because I really just love this game to death. What is your favorite genre of a game? So, wow, I play a lot of different genres. That's really hard. I play action-adventure games, fighting games. I'm not that great at fighting games, but I still play them. FPS games, horror games, party games are great with friends, 2D platformers, 3D platformers, puzzle games, racing games, RPGs, even FNAF World. I know I'm pretty much the only person in the world who still likes that game, but I still love RPGs. RTS games, rhythm games, simulation games, stealth games, survival games, tycoon games, visual novels, story-driven games. Like, I'm pretty sure I enjoy all types of genres. Well, okay, not except for Battle Royale and MMORPGs. I can't play either of those. It's not just Fortnite, because Fortnite's just, but Battle Royale as a concept, it's not appealing to me to spawn into an area with 100 people or whatever, run around for a little bit, like loot different locations to gather materials, and then just die and then do the same thing over again. It's like, that just does not appeal to me in the slightest. And then games like World of Warcraft, I don't really have a reason for those. It just no appeal to me whatsoever. If I had to pick one, no, I don't think I can. My top 3 games of all time: action-adventure game, 3D platformer, and an FPS game. And the FPS game, which would be Halo, probably means more emotionally to me than any of the other games. Like, that individual game as a FPS probably means more to me, but in terms of what genre would contain the most amount of my favorite games, that's probably puzzles and platforming games. For the puzzle games, it's just because I like puzzles. It's really that simple. I like playing games that challenge my intelligence, challenge my critical thinking skills, my problem-solving abilities. Just, the satisfaction, I think it's the best way to describe it, it's satisfying to come up with a clever solution to a puzzle, especially when the game gives you increasingly challenging puzzles. It's really satisfying to keep overcoming these new obstacles. And the thing is, the game can be as simple as something like Cubot, or as complex as the Gardens Between. No matter what it is, pretty much all puzzle games I love. I say pretty much, because there's some puzzle games I've played that have been not that great, but I won't show footage of those because I'm trying to keep this positive. Anyway, that's why I love puzzle games. As far as platforms are concerned, this was a little harder for me to nail down exactly why. I think if I were to simplify it, it's probably just because it's fun movement around beautiful worlds. Like, you're in a world, really, really beautifully designed, pretty to look at, and it's just fun to move around in. That combined with excellent level design, maybe it's the completionist aspect of me, like, because many platforms rely on collecting things, or just something as simple as breaking boxes. Why would you put a box off screen? Why have you done this to me? But fundamentally, I think it's just, moving around creatively designed and engaging environments. So that's why I love those two genres so much. But the thing is, I love games from almost all genres. Like I said, I ran down the list earlier. Those are just probably my 2 favorite genres, purely based on the amount of games that I love from said genres. Favorite series on the channel? I'm gonna I think I'm gonna split this one into categories because I literally do not think I could pick one single series. I'm gonna split it into my favorite Let's Play, my favorite walkthrough, my favorite Let's Play I've ever done, favorite walkthrough I've ever made, and favorite collaborative project I've been a part of. So, favorite Let's Play, my gut instinct is to say either Halo 3 or Halo 4, just because of the memories I made playing those games with Neil and Zach.
You know what would give us a Covenant Carbine real easy?
What? Don't kill him.
No, I don't have a carbine!
Yes!
Oh my god.
We tried so hard!
But it's probably Mario Kart Wii, because, I mean, Mario Kart Wii is a fun game to play anyway, so it was fun to play through it again. I played through that last summer. It was also a nostalgic experience to relive the memory of playing that. But I think the real reason why I love the Let's Play so much is because, yeah, it was fun to race around the tracks and everything, but because, like, after a certain point, I ran out of things to say about the tracks. Like, after I made it through 50cc, I'd already pointed out all the cool things about the tracks, and I did 50cc through mirror mode, so I had a lot of times to redo the tracks. So, to fill the commentary, I ended up talking about a lot of different topics. So, some movies I liked, some TV series, different games, things like that. I covered a lot of different topics. Like, every episode I would talk about something new. So, if you're interested in hearing just me talk about some random things, I recommend checking out that series, because I talk about a lot of interesting topics throughout all of the episodes. So it was just nice to, like, that was something I looked forward to every day. Like, I would sit down, record an episode of Mario Kart Wii, race the tracks, and also just talk about whatever was on my mind. I really like that series. That was fun. My favorite walkthrough, so the two, I'm going to go based on what I'm most proud of, and the two walkthroughs that I'm most proud of are my Captain Toad Treasure Tracker walkthrough and my Halo 5 Legendary walkthrough. For the Captain Toad's walkthrough, I'm just proud of how I explain things. I think I was concise and to the point as to how to solve the puzzles while still managing to be somewhat entertaining in the process, so I'm really proud of how that walkthrough turned out. And then for Halo 5, really that was a walkthrough that was born out of just me not seeing any walkthroughs for it. Because, like I said, HokeyBird428 has incredible legendary walkthroughs for the main 4 Halo games, Halo Reach, and Halo ODST. Sorry, Halo 3 ODST. But he doesn't have one for Halo 5. And I don't think he's ever going to make one. So I just didn't really see any good legendary walkthroughs on YouTube, so I figured, why not make my own? Because I had found, while just playing the game my own time, I had found a lot of cool strategies to make legendary fun to play, while also being simple enough for anybody who had never played Halo before to pick up and use those strategies for themselves. The key that I had, like, the central design aspect that I had when I was making that walkthrough was keeping it fun. Like, I wanted to find ways to play it on Legendary while still being fun to implement and effective. So, like, something that would be enjoyable for you to play while also making sure you actually are able to conquer the missions. So yeah, like I said, I was inspired to make that because of HokeyBird and his incredible walkthroughs. As far as favorite collaborative project, so Project Legends is partially responsible for how I came to love Halo. I talked about that earlier. There was a lot of really fun and great moments throughout that entire series. This is probably one of my favorites.
Or something like that. Oh, one of them's dead.
No. Oh, hi, hey friend, how's life?
Not a really good idea.
Oh, yes!
You.
Oh, that was a good opportunity. Yes!
You got that on camera, right?
Yep.
Like, I genuinely believe that if I hadn't decided to do that series, I don't think I would love Halo as much as I did. Because if I didn't try to play it on Legendary, then I never would have discovered that I suck at Legendary, which means I never would have discovered HokeyBird428, which means I never would have learned how to play the campaigns on Legendary, which means I never would have discovered how tactical they are and all the different strategies you can implement. It's always going to be Project Living Legends. That's going to have a really special place in my heart for a long time. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer, so I hope that answered your question. Hey bro, are you going to get a PS5? I am planning on it, actually, because of one game and one game only, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. The small gameplay they showed during the presentation looked great, a lot of fun. I really loved it. I played the original, well, okay, not the original Ratchet & Clank. I played the remake of Ratchet & Clank in 2016, and then 2017. Like, I played it throughout 2016 and 2017. I had a lot of fun playing it. It was really, really fun. I really, really loved that game. And I've been waiting for another one for years. Like, I've been waiting, like, please make a sequel to this, because I know that the movie got some less than favorable reviews, but the game was great. So I wasn't sure if they were going to make another one, but lo and behold, they're making a sequel, which I'm really excited for, because I really, really loved the 2016 Ratchet & Clank. That being said, that's literally the only game on PlayStation 5 that I'm even remotely interested. Okay, that's not true. Kena? I don't know. The Bridge of Spirits game looks kind of interesting. It might be cool. As far as Spider-Man, I love Into the Spider-Verse, I love Homecoming, and I love Far From Home, but I've just never been interested in the games. I don't know what it is. I love the VR game. I call it a game. I love the VR experience, but I've never bought any of the PlayStation's Spider-Man games, and I don't really have any interest in playing one now, so that's about all I had to say about that. Will I buy the console for just one game? I mean, I bought an Xbox One just for Halo 5, so maybe, I don't know. The thing is, I might not get it at launch because I don't think, the footage of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, they showed it during the showcase, was pre-alpha footage, so I highly, highly doubt that the game will launch alongside the console. So I might hold off on getting it for a while, but I will. Well, put it this way: when Ratchet & Clank comes out, I will be making a full Let's Play for that game, and I will have a PS5 to do it. I'm really excited for that. And if you're wondering if I'm interested in getting an Xbox Series X, I've made it no secret that I adore Halo with all my heart. I love it to bits. I'm gonna love it for infinity and beyond. I really, really love Halo. It means so much to me, and for as much as I love Dragons of 3D and Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, it's my favorite game series, easily. Halo's my favorite video game series. But Halo Infinite is not going to be an Xbox Series X exclusive. It's also coming to PC, and the fact of the matter is that if I can play it on my PC, I don't really have a reason to play it on Xbox Series X. And the thing is, like, I saw some other games during the Xbox showcase that were kind of interesting. Like, Call of the Sea is like, I don't know, that might be cool. The Medium, kind of interesting. Scarlet Nexus, maybe. Nothing really grabbed my attention. Like, the only game that would make me, hands down, no questions asked, get an Xbox Series X would be Halo Infinite. But that's not going to be an exclusive, so I just don't really have an incentive to get one. I don't know. I might. We'll see. We'll see what else gets revealed during the Xbox Game Showcase coming up on Thursday. If there's something mind-blowing there that isn't coming to PC, then I will consider getting it. But for now, if Halo Infinite's going to be on PC, I don't really have a reason to. So this one isn't a question, but I do want to read the comment out. Not really a question, but I really like your analytical, critical style of LP and consider playing more story-driven games. They suit you well. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Thing is, like, I appreciate your comments, and I'm happy to hear that you've been enjoying my videos. I don't think I'm trying to go for a critical LP style. Like, I'm not, so, when I hear that, I think to myself that means you're playing through a game with the express purpose of analyzing it or criticizing it. I think the reason why that you might have gotten that impression is just because the Ace Attorney games are centered around mystery solving, you know, like trying to piece together the puzzle as you play and figuring out the solutions to all the mysteries. So basically any thought I had about the mystery, I would always say it out loud just to kind of help the train of thought move along. Really my rule of thumb when it comes to Let's Plays is just being unfiltered and honest about everything. Because like my rule of thumb when it comes to making Let's Plays is just being brutally honest and unfiltered about everything, because the reason I think most people watch Let's Plays is to see people's reactions to things. So my logic behind that is to just be completely honest and unfiltered when I say things. Like when I played through the Ace Attorney series, I was completely unfiltered. I said whatever came to my head when it came to the series, or if there was a particular joke I want to try to make, I would go for that. And anything really that just came to my head, I would pop out, because that's just my style of making Let's Play videos. So that might be where you get that impression, but that's just kind of my style for all Let's Plays. But as far as playing more story-driven games goes, I do plan on doing that. After I finish Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, I have some more story-driven games on the horizon. I'm going to play through Danganronpa. If I like the first game, I'll play numbers 2 and 3. Zero Escape, I've heard some great things about those games. And AI, The Somnium Files. I have all those games in my Steam library, so don't worry. We won't be running out of story-driven games to play on the channel anytime soon. What is your favorite FPS game? I do want to make a note here that this question was originally, what is your favorite Halo game? Thing is, even if the question was the same as it originally was when it posted, the answer would still be the same, because my favorite Halo game is also the same as my favorite FPS game, which is Halo 3 Easy. Level design, it's completely open-ended and entirely up to you as to what strategies you use. Like, you have complete and total freedom in terms of the tactics that you use to get through the missions. Which by the way, all the missions are just so different from each other in terms of visual style, the environments, the encounters, the types of enemies you fight. They show you such a wide variety of cool locations that it's awesome. Every single weapon is viable. It's entirely up to you to use them all effectively. There's an infinite number of ways to fight the encounters. There's almost always a team of Marines or a team of elites to fight alongside you. So, some great teamwork opportunities, helps you get invested in the conflict. I love the camaraderie between the Marines. Every single equipment piece is useful except the flare and the radar jammer. And just another element of strategy on top of it, because they're all viable for any situation if you use them creatively. The Scarabs were awesome enemies. I freaking love the Scarab battles. They're dynamic enemies with an actual weakness in the back. And just the story was such a perfect conclusion to the original trilogy. It tied up every plot point and character arc, and the Arbiter's character arc is a highlight. I love fighting alongside the Flood, even if it was a short-lived moment. Chief and Cortana got a little bit of character development after 2 games of working together, so that was a nice lead into Halo 4. The Warthog run, perfect callback to Halo Combat Evolved. The ending is pure brilliance, and I love that final line, the "Wake me when you need me." And yeah, that's just the campaign. Multiplayer, a lot of great memories playing that with friends, and I've made even more because it's now on PC, so friends who didn't have Xboxes can now play the multiplayer on PC and have had a lot of fun doing that. And multiplayer is really tactical as well. Map knowledge is important. You have to use teamwork in order to take down opponents, cut them off, flank them, control certain sections of the map, take control of power weapons. In case you can't tell, I love all Halo games. Even Halo 5, its story is garbage, but the gameplay is still really fun. I just really love Halo, and I can't wait to see what Halo Infinite's going to look like on Thursday. Oh, now that I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing that the reason that the comment might have been changed is to avoid talking about a Halo game, which in that case, I don't really play any other FPS games. I can't stand Call of Duty. I hate it with a fiery passion. It's a mindless run-and-gun game, and the campaigns are even worse. Battlefield, honestly, I haven't played that much of it. I played the first part of Battlefield 4, but I just couldn't stand it. Basically, I walked into an area, and all the enemies were in predetermined positions that they were all just firing down upon me. And it's like, I want dynamic combat, like the elites in Halo. It's like they're dynamic. They move around the map. They control their squad. They command them to do certain things. They adjust their strategy and positioning based on what's happening in the battlefield. I like that kind of combat. I don't like just sitting still and picking off enemies one by one from range. I used to play Siege because I'd love the tactics-based gameplay of that game. There was a really good emphasis on teamwork and strategy, and again, map knowledge and just outsmarting your opponent in general. But now it seems like that the main appeal of Siege nowadays seems to be, what zany new gimmick are they going to add next season, guys? It's just not what it used to be. It's not the tactical game it used to be. Now it's just, what insane new ability are they going to add next time? Actually, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, there is one FPS game that I played other than Halo that I really, really loved. That's Star Wars Republic Commando. I love that game. I don't care even a little bit about Star Wars, but the squad combat in that game really kept me thinking about just how to use my team to my advantage to accomplish objectives. So, yeah, that was a really underrated game. Definitely recommend that. It's on Steam if you want to check it out. The thing is, Halo will always be my favorite FPS game. It's the only one I regularly play and just thoroughly love every minute of. But if you change the question to avoid talking about Halo, then Republic Commando would be my second favorite FPS game. Favorite game system? Virtual Boy, obviously. What other game system is there? No, seriously. So this question actually goes in conjunction with someone else who asked, which consoles do you have and which one is your favorite? So as for which consoles I have the original Xbox, although it's pretty much on its way out. I don't use it anymore because every game I love for the original Xbox I have somewhere else. So like Dragon's Dogma 3D, I have the official PC CD for that. I bought that. Battlefield Bikini Bottom, have BFE Rehydrated. The Cars game, that's on Steam. So for as unfortunate as it is that my Xbox, I know my original Xbox isn't gonna last forever, so I've just been making sure I I can still play those games somewhere else. I have the Xbox 360. I don't have an original Wii anymore. I gave that to somebody else. I have a Wii U, an Xbox One X, a PlayStation 4, and a Switch. It's a tie between the Nintendo Wii and the Xbox 360, and it's both for the same reason, just the memories I made playing on both those consoles. The first console I ever played was probably the original Xbox, because that was just my dad's console that he let me use. And I only ever found out about Dragon's Dogma 3D because, like I said earlier, he was playing it, and I would just watch him play it. I vividly remember sitting next to him on the couch as he fought the dragon, and that was just, love that moment, because we both knew the original Dragon Slayer, but we didn't know this new game, so I watched him play, and he slayed the dragon, and then that thing happened. If you haven't played the game, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a thing that happens after you slay the dragon, and we were just, our minds were just blown. And like I said, I played Sonic Hedgehog on the Mega Collection. That's just, it's a distant memory of playing the original Xbox, because, like I said, the Xbox is my first console. I know that, and I played a few games on it, but I really remember the first night with the Wii. Like, that's a memory that I'll always keep close to my heart. Because that my parents bought that for me as a present when it first came out, and I remember that first night that we all played Wii Sports together. It's just, I never played a game with motion controls before. They just blew my mind. Like, I'm swinging the tennis racket, and the guy on the screen is also swinging the tennis racket. I'm going bowling, I'm playing golf, like, this is insane, I love this. And just over the years, we've had a lot of fun playing Wii Party, Wii Sports Resort, we played with a bunch of family and friends. The Wii has all of my earliest gaming memories. One thing that stands out to me is New Super Mario Bros. Wii. That was insanely hard when I was younger. I don't know why, because it's nowhere near as challenging now. So one thing we would do is me, my parents, and my grandmother, we would all play the game together, and we just couldn't fumble our way through the levels. We had no idea what we were doing. I'll never forget, we got to the first tower. Like, 3 of us had all died, and we ran out of lives, and we weren't gonna float back in bubbles or anything, so it was just down to one person. I don't remember who it was, but I know it wasn't me, because I wasn't good at video games. But it was down to one of the 4 of us who was still alive, and it was just like a matter of one of us beating the final boss, because we've been stuck in the first 3 levels of the game for months, and we just could not beat it. Maybe it wasn't one. That might be an exaggeration. I'll say weeks. But we finally got to the tower, and we beat the boss, and we were just ecstatic, because we could finally save the game. And then after that point, my grandmother and I, whenever she came over, we would sit down and try to beat the game, and eventually, over a bunch of play sessions, we've managed to get through all 8 worlds, so that was nice memory. But and then as far as personal gaming achievements go, I mentioned earlier that Galaxy 2 has one of my earliest gaming achievements, and that's just because Super Mario Galaxy 2 was the first game that I was proud of beating. Like, there was Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings. I played that with my dad, and like I said, we traded off who would play when appropriate. So like if I couldn't beat a section that he would do it, and if he couldn't beat a section I would do it, and we would trade off the controllers as we made our way through the game. Same thing with Back to the Future game, but Galaxy 2 was the first challenge game that I beat all by myself, because a lot of those levels were really, really hard, and I will never, ever forget the satisfaction of finally beating the perfect run. That is the hardest level in the game. Like, by itself, it's already challenging enough, but you have to do it with only 1 health point. I was ecstatic when I finally got to the end of that. That was so satisfying. And then there was just, you know, fun playing, like, Mario Kart Wii with friends, Mario Party, just a lot of great early memories. And the Xbox 360, similar thing. That was my first major online console. I had played some online games of Mario Kart Wii, but 360 was when I really started playing online. It introduced me to the beauty that is Halo 3, and in turn, Halo as a whole. Made a lot of memories, playing a lot of games with friends. You know, Neil and I did our co-op Minecraft Let's Play together. Like, when we started making videos together, that was a really nice way to help us bond. And then, you know, we had the Halo 4 LP, Destiny with some friends. There was just so many games. I played a lot with a lot of middle school friends, and it was all thanks to the 360. In short, made a lot of great memories thanks to video games across all different consoles, and I'm grateful for every single one, but I probably have the most associated with the Wii and the 360. Kinda random, favorite fast food joint. I don't really eat a lot of fast food. When I was super young, I went to Burger King a lot, and I associated Burger King with the Krusty Krab. Literally the only reason I liked going there. I haven't been to Burger King in over a decade at this point. It's been so long. Favorite's probably Red Robin. Really the only place I would consistently eat fast food at. And my friends can't believe it. They're like, what, you've never eaten at McDonald's? Dunkin' Donuts? You've never been to Pizza Hut? You've never been to Chipotle? You've never been to Jimmy John's? You've never been to Subway? You've never been to Starbucks? What is this heresy? I'm just like, nope, never. I've never eaten at any of those places, and I don't plan on doing it anytime soon. What do you do in your free time? Ha! What's free time? No, seriously, I play games by myself, play games with friends, I read books, watch movies, watch TV. Speaking of TV, recently been watching Suits, which is one of the best TV shows ever. I'll always love Phineas and Ferb. It'll always be my favorite because of just how much I love those characters and those stories. But Suits is still damn incredible, and I really love these characters so much. I'm towards the beginning of season 7 right now. It's off to a bit of a rough start. It's not strictly bad, it's just not quite as good as the first 6 seasons. Still optimistic going forward. I've really been loving it so far. And then before the virus happened, my friends and I would go out to lunch, go see a movie, go mini golfing, bowling. One of my favorite things that I love to do was host Mario Party sessions with friends. I can't do any of that right now, obviously, but before all this happened, I really enjoyed hanging out with friends. Age-old question, if you're stuck on a deserted island and could only bring 3 games, which ones you bring? Oh, I'm gonna cheat so hardcore in this one. I'm gonna bring Master Chief Collection because I love Halo, and that is a single game which I can buy that has 6 games contained within it. So, I'm gonna bring the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy because I love that trilogy, and it is a single game I can buy with 3 games contained within. So, no, I don't consider this cheating, even though I said I was gonna cheat, but I don't really consider it because here's the thing. I would consider it cheating if I said I'm gonna bring Super Mario Galaxy 1 and Super Mario Galaxy 2 because there is no one game you can buy that has both Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2. However, there is a single game that I can buy that has the 6 main Halo games except for Halo 5, and there's one game I can buy with the original 3 Phoenix Wright games except for everything that comes after that. So I don't consider it totally cheating. As far as what would the third game be, that's tough. It's hard to pick between Dragon's Earth 3D and Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I probably got to go with Dragon's Earth 3D. As much as I love them both, I love Dragon's Earth 3D just a little bit more. And then we got a bonus question from this person. Donkey Kong vs. Harambe, place your bets. Donkey Kong? Because he's Donkey Kong? I guess, I don't know. Who is your favorite character in Indiana Jones The Original Adventures? Well, to say Indiana Jones would be a cop-out, so I'm not gonna do that. Story-wise, like my favorite character from the Indiana Jones movies, Marion, easily. She's awesome, and then I just love watching the relationship she has with Indy, watching that develop. I mean, honestly, as far as relationships are concerned, it's a tie between watching Indy and Henry and Indy and Marion. The chemistry that those two sets of characters have is amazing, but Marion herself is just such an awesome person. She's like right below Indiana Jones in terms of characters that I love. But gameplay-wise, I mean, what other correct answer is there except for Bazooka Trooper? Just tearing through everything in your path is always satisfying. Alright, final question for the Q&A, which is more of a joint question from everybody who's ever asked this. I'm just going to take the opportunity to clarify this right now. I do really recommend Investigations 2, as it's easy to access and it's honestly an amazing fan translation. But what about Investigations 2, one of the best games in the series? I know that you really don't want to emulate it, but I honestly feel Investigations I think it's the best game. Credit that you promise if you ever make a straight up Investigations 2, I don't want to spoil anything just in case you can get the fan. Do you plan on doing Edgeworth Investigations 2? Plus, I'm a new sub. Well, thank you for subscribing. However, I have said it multiple times in the past, and I'm gonna say it probably a lot more in the future. The only time in which I will ever play Investigations 2 is if Capcom officially localizes it. Other than that, the last Ace Attorney video that I plan to make is the one I already made, which is ranking all the Ace Attorney cases. As for my reasons why, it's really not that complicated. I just don't want to use an emulator, and I'm only planning on playing the game if it gets officially released. Other than that, I'm not going to play it. But that is the end of this Q&A session. As of the raw recording, it's about an hour long. So honestly, not as long as I thought it was going to take. But once I condense it down, like edit out the pauses between questions and all that, it'll probably be a little less than that. But hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully the answers I gave were satisfying. If not, I apologize. Again, I just want to say thank you all so much for 3,000 subscribers. It really means the world that I'm able to do this. And you all are the people who make that possible. So thank you once again. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you found my answers satisfying. And other than that, that'll be it for now. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. We'll catch you all tomorrow for whatever video you watch next. Goodbye.